Hey there, groovy cats and chicks. It's me again, Rock Savage, the world's most dangerous filmmaker. And I'm back. Sorry it's been a while. Was busy, had a lot of things to do, working on a new project, working on our documentary about really weird roadside attractions to visit when you're on vacation. So we've been on the road a lot, doing some secret stuff we're not going to reveal until the movie's actually in the can. And then we just let everything out of the box, and we'll of course be promoting the hell out of it here because that's what we do. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I came to talk to you about: independent filmmaking. And the main theme of this video, we've been talking about the props we use, the cameras we used, and why we are the number one underground filmmakers in the world, period. And we are. That's no doubt about it. We've outlasted a lot of our contemporaries. And I'm not putting them down. I don't think of them as competition. I think of them as allies against the evil corporation known as Hollywood, which is why this is titled Why Hollywood Sucks. And let me tell you, they do suck, and there shouldn't be any doubt in your mind that they suck. If you love Hollywood, you probably shouldn't even be watching this YouTube channel, because Hollywood really sucks. It really does. Now we're going to explain why. First of all, let's talk about a lot of the shit that's been said lately from Hollywood celebrities, who every time they talk, they seem to sound like they're taking a huge dump and shit is coming out of their mouth. Now normally I don't like to cuss on my thing. I kind of regret that I used the F word in my last video once, because I try not to use the F word for several reasons, but we'll talk about that in another video. If you probably noticed that after Mummy of Gorgor, we no longer use the F word. And there's a reason for that. I just thought it was ignorant. And since we have such a rich vocabulary here at the Savage Film Group, it really was unnecessary to use that word. But unfortunately, I may end up using it. I'm hoping not to, but I may end up using it in this video because really, Hollywood really sucks, and they make me want to cuss. Let's talk about that retard Meryl Streep. Remember that speech she gave? She was so upset about our new president that she started bashing everybody. She said, well, if it weren't for Hollywood, you wouldn't have any entertainment. What entertainment? You guys make crap now. Most of your movies are remakes. And Meryl Streep never made a good movie. All her movies are boring crap. Boring crap. I don't know anybody that watches Meryl Streep movies and likes them. My late wife, she watched The Devil Wear Prada, but just for the fashion. She didn't like any of the characters in that movie, especially Meryl Streep's character, who was a cunt. I think Meryl Streep was playing herself in that movie. God, that was a horrible movie. I saw it once and it made me sick, because like I said, my late wife was watching it, but she was a diva, so she loved all the fashions and she could tell you all the designers. I really didn't give a shit. But anyway, really, God, what a horrible movie. Like I said, Meryl Streep never made a good movie in her life. And she's got the nerve to say, if it weren't for Hollywood, all you would have is pro football. I'm not a big fan of pro football. When I was a kid, I actually was in the boys club, and I played football with the uniform and everything. I enjoyed playing it. I must say it is boring to watch. It's more fun to participate and tackle people. But that's beside the point. A lot of people like football. Why do you want to insult the fans? If you don't like it, that's okay. Somebody else can like it, Like somebody likes Meryl Streep movies, or else the bitch wouldn't have a job. I think they suck, though. But then the bitch has the nerve to put down mixed martial arts, and she waves her stupid little finger like a teacher, and she's too ignorant to be a teacher. I'm going to tell you that. She's too stupid to be a teacher. She doesn't know history. She doesn't know shit. Most of the people in Hollywood are illiterate. Not that they can't read, it's that they don't read. So she's waving her little finger around, which I wish I could have been there to break. And she says, you would only have football and mixed martial arts, which is not the arts. Yes, it is. It's an art form, just like ballet is an art form. mixed martial arts is an art form. And Meryl, it's an art form you can't participate in because you're a scrawny, ugly old bitch. How old are you now? 100? You wrinkled old hussy? God damn. The nerve. And let me tell you something. Some of those guys from the Ultimate Fighting Championship have actually appeared in movies. I'll admit, B movies. And their acting was adequate. And that's really all you need. The great Herschel Gordon Lewis, which was one of my idols, him and David Friedman, who inspired me to make movies, once said that if acting was really important in movies, Sylvester Stallone would have never had a job. And that's the truth. Sylvester Stallone cannot play any character but himself, and he doesn't even do that too well. He mumbles his lines. Adrian! Okay, so there's Hollywood for you. Yeah, acting. Yeah, acting. You really... Acting obviously is not that important if Sylvester Stallone has a job. And Meryl Streep playing a cunt is not... That's her real personality. She's not acting. She's playing an extended version of herself. So, but here's the thing. The thing I'm pointing out is that the mixed martial artists, the Ultimate Fighting champions, they can go into her world of movies and do adequate acting. Can Meryl Streep go into the world of Ultimate Fighting and mixed martial arts and be an adequate fighter? I don't think so. So she's stuck in her little world while the mixed martial arts guys can go in and out of their world. You know, they can be in the martial arts world and they can be in the movie world. And they're good either way. Meryl Streep can only exist in movies and not for long. Hollywood doesn't like you when you get too old, and she already looks very nasty and unattractive. And that's the truth. So, she says that entertainment. What crappy what entertainment is Hollywood doing now outside of the superhero movies? And not all of them are good. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole different show, and I could even care less about that. I'm trying to talk mostly about independent cinema here, which I will get to soon. Hollywood makes a lot of crap. That's all there is to it. They make remakes mostly. The Planet of the Apes remakes are an atrocity. They look boring, and I hate that gray tint they use to try to be dark and gloomy. Because, here's the problem. Hollywood directors, they want to have, here's the proper term. I'm going to use the proper term because I am better educated than any of these losers in Hollywood. They want to eat their cake and have it too. And you can't do that. You can't eat your cake and have it too. Take note of what I said. It makes more sense than the other way around. Yeah, they want to eat their cake and have it too, and they can't do that. They want to make the movie noir, but they don't want to shoot it in black and white, so they shoot it in this crappy color where they turn down the color and it looks gray and crappy. It looks like film that has faded. What the hell? What the hell is that crap? Not to mention the Planet Ape movies are boring because all the apes don't wear any costumes. Or not costumes, but, the apes had their own uniforms that really looked cool. They're all a bunch of naked, hairy apes that look alike. It's hard to tell them apart. The human characters aren't very interesting. It's crap. And don't get me started on the PMS Ghostbusters. That's what it should be called, because that's exactly what it is. A bunch of crazy women on PMS who can't act and are not funny. I don't have to say much about that movie. It bombed. Everything that can be said about it's been said, but let's move on. Let's talk about celebrity hypocrites. I don't understand why world leaders have an audience with some of these crappy actors like George Clooney, who's an asshole. George Clooney was going around to all these countries saying, "Ooh, you need to take more refugees. You need to take more refugees." George, a lot of these refugees are terrorists. They come from terrorist countries. You don't know these people. Why don't you shut your pie hole, idiot? He was living in England with his family. I don't know if you heard this. Because of all the terrorist attacks in London by the people he loves so much, the refugees, who are really terrorists, that went around stabbing each other in the name of Allah, running outside of not stabbing each other, but stabbing their fellow London citizens, stabbing them. I guess they didn't feel that they were their fellow citizens at all, and saying for Allah. And of course, George Clooney is now scared because he's a sissy, and he's leaving London with his family to LA for security reasons. Interesting. The same guy that was going around telling everybody we should take more refugees is coming to the country where the president doesn't want these people in. Isn't that interesting? Mr. Clooney, you are a two-faced hypocrite, and you're a very boring actor. You have no talent, and you were the worst Batman ever, in the worst Batman movie ever made. You sucked as Batman. Long live Adam West. Death to George Clooney. His career. Anyway. Yes. You suck, George Clooney. And by the way, he had a $5 million mansion in Italy. In the area, which is a beautiful tourist area and very well-to-do, all the refugees moved in there. They've turned it into a ghetto. So now George is trying to sell his $5 million mansion. He's not going to get $5 million for it, so he's going to have to take a loss. Good. He sucks too. His movies suck. He sucks. And like I said, worst Batman ever. He killed the franchise and they had to restart it. Thank you, George. Anyway, Hollywood's basically is a haven for sissies. I'll give you a great idea of how disgusting these sissies were. Now, I'm sure many of you out there who are into independent films are familiar with the great Herschel Gordon Lewis, who basically was ahead of his time with the splatter and gory horror movies that he made. Blood Feast, 2000 Maniacs, Color Me Blood Red, masterpieces all. And of course his partner David Friedman. And I've met with Herschel Gordon Lewis 3 times. Great human being. Going to do a whole thing about him and David, who I interacted with a lot. And David told me about the fact that Hollywood never fought for the First Amendment. It was the independents who fought for the First Amendment. Now, I'm going to quote David Friedman right here. He told me this in person. And by the way, if you don't believe me, there's 2 different books that quote him, which I will be telling you about, that have this quote from David in them, including one that he wrote himself. But here we go. This is a quote from the great David Friedman. The so-called freedom of the screen was purely a result of the battle of the independents. That's right. The majors should have kissed the ass of the independents. The majors, of course, being Hollywood. That's right. They should have kissed the independents' asses because the independents are the ones that fought the censorship battles. And Dave recalled the time in the late 60s when the governor of Alabama shut down 7 theaters, 7, showing films that had an X rating. Not XXX, not hardcore porn, X simply because it was adult content. United Artists had a movie called Midnight Cowboy. It was critically acclaimed. Personally, I think it's overrated. And it was one of the films that was shut down, along with David Friedman's naughty sexploitation films. Anyway, David and his team of lawyers had the charges dropped. And United Artists never even showed up, never even had any lawyers come up there. They never took any stand on the fight against censorship. There's your goddamn Hollywood, Meryl Streep. Where were you guys when the independents were fighting for freedom of speech and fighting the evil forces of censorship? Where the hell were you, Meryl Streep? We don't need you. We don't need Hollywood. Hollywood is a is a turd, is a dog turd on the sidewalk of life. I pray for the day that there's a massive earthquake in California and that it falls into the ocean, drowning all the filthy scum that live there. I'm really not that angry. I'm not an angry person. But when I think of the hypocrisy, it pisses me off. Like the time that sissy movie, that big lie, An Inconvenient Truth, which should be called An Inconvenient Lie by the mannequin known as Al Gore, when it was nominated for Academy Award, all the celebrities showed up in hybrids. A year later, and they showed it on television, on TMZ, the same celebrities showed up in big stretch limos that were not hybrids, but gas-guzzling vehicles, because When has a Hollywood celebrity ever given up luxury in the name of environmentalism, which is phony baloney anyway? Now, let's not talk about Inauguration Day. Regardless of what you think of Donald Trump, if a actor or singer or celebrity wants to is invited to entertain at the inauguration, it's their business to accept. Maybe they want the exposure. Maybe they're patriotic and don't care who became president. They're just celebrating democracy. Do you know that a lot of celebrities threatened the careers of anyone that appeared at Donald Trump's inauguration? Threatened their career. Wow, Hollywood has a lot in common with fascism and Nazi Germany. Isn't that interesting? Oh, actually, more accurate, Hollywood has a lot in common with communism, where there's only one place to make movies, and that's Hollywood, and no one else is allowed to do that. You know, in communism, you only have one political party. That's your choice. Hollywood wants to make sure you only have one choice. Now let's talk about the crimes of Hollywood, like the unholy deal with Blockbuster Video. Oh yeah, they made a deal with Blockbuster. I don't think it ever got resolved because Blockbuster went out of business, where Blockbuster would have exclusive rights to rent Hollywood movies for 30 days before anybody else were allowed to buy them. In other words, the mom and pop stores would not be able to compete with Blockbuster because Blockbuster had all the new movies, all the new Hollywood movies. And the mom and pops would get them after 30 days after Blockbuster. That means that everybody had already seen them, and that would bite into the profits of mom and pop stores. Does this sound right? No, it's an unfair business practice, and the Video Software Dealers Association sued on behalf of the mom and pop stores, and the lawsuit was an antitrust suit, and also with the Federal Trade Commission. I don't know if I don't think this was ever resolved. I think it was still in court when Blockbuster started to go out of business. Well, that was the hand of karma slapping Blockbuster in the face. But who was behind that? Hollywood. And let's talk about blind bidding. I don't know, this practice isn't probably not used as much now because Hollywood, again, it used to be that movie theaters, before they managed to lobby and get this removed. But it used to be that movie studios could not own their own theaters, and now they can. And that's why you have hardly any mom and pop theaters, and there's hardly any venue for independent movies, except crazy art theaters, and there's not many of those. But yeah, they had blind bidding, where let's say you didn't want to accept a crazy movie like Ishtar that was a real piece of crap. And they said, we don't want this movie. He says, well, if you don't take this movie and show it in your theater, we're not going to give you the next George Lucas film or the next Steven Spielberg film. Well, of course, they want those films because that guarantees box office. So they had to take a crappy movie that wasn't going to make any money in order to get the good movies. On top of that, Hollywood takes all the profits from the rentals. The theaters, if you ever wondered how they make their profits, through concessions. Isn't that some crap? That's why the popcorn and all the goodies are overpriced. That's where they're making their money. And yet, assholes like Alec Baldwin talk about evil corporations. Hollywood is an evil corporation. Well, I think that's enough. I don't think I need to talk about this crappy institution anymore. I think you get the message. You should, whenever you can, you should support your local independent filmmakers and give Hollywood the middle finger it deserves. And let me recommend some books. David Friedman, I've talked to him personally about this subject a lot before he passed away, back in the days when he was healthy. He's quoted in this book. I recommend it. It's called The Ghastly One, The Sex and Gore Netherworld of Andy Milligan. Recommend it. Get it online. Should be no problem. David's own book, he talks about the censorship battles, A Youth in Babylon. This is David's own book. He autographed it to me. Really wonderful. Like I said, I've ran into David Gorman a lot, David Friedman a lot, and Herschel Gordon Lewis a lot. I just combined their names. That was strange. Ran into Dave a lot at Schiller Theater and other places. Ran into Herschel Gordon Lewis on 3 different occasions and starred with Herschel. I have had a cameo with Herschel in Chainsaw Sally. And you can really learn a lot from those gentlemen. They're terrific. It's a shame they passed away, but people like me will keep their memory alive, and hopefully people like you. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Remember, Hollywood sucks. Go independent. Go underground. And that's all I got to say now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that like button below and subscribe and fight the evil Hollywood. Fight Hollywood, the evil corporation. Fight them. Resist. And go to www.savagefilmgroup.com. Buy a movie and resist some more. Fight the power. And that's all I got to say about that. Everybody stay groovy and have a great summer. I'll see you on the flip side.